Low snap. Derek looking. Derek going to lob over the end zone for Crabtree. Did he get both feet down? Touchdown! Raiders! Michael Crabtree did it again. His third touchdown of the game.
The Raiders are turning heads this season with a 3-1 record. Their wins weren't easy either. All of them on the road in Eastern and Central time zones against the Saints, Titans, and Ravens. The Falcons, they're so lost. The Raiders sit just one game behind the Broncos in the AFC West. Stephen A., are you buying the Raiders as contenders?
Yes, I am. Contenders in terms of not Super Bowl contenders, but I do believe that they will make the playoffs. I think this is the first time, and I think they've missed the playoffs for like 14 straight years. In the past, particularly when they let go of Hugh Jackson, I was really on the GM McKenzie. Not anymore. I think that when you look at what they've built in Oakland, it's incredibly impressive. Now, they got to get ready to get on their knees and just, and break the bank to give to, Khalil Mack, because he is the Mack daddy. He is the man. No question about it. But so is Derek Carr. 9 touchdowns, just 1 interception, complete 68% of his passes, already thrown for over 1,000 yards in the first 4 games of this season. Latavius Murray, they got a 3-headed running attack. Latavius Murray, this kid, DeAndre Washington and Jalen Richards, both averaging better than 4 yards a carry. Very impressive. I thought it was about Amari Cooper. I really did, because I love me some Amari Cooper, okay? The boy was big time coming out of Alabama. He has lived up to the hype and then some. But my Lord, Michael Crabtree, talk about a rebirth. I mean, this brother shows up. Crabtree is handling his business, and it seems ideal that he's your secondary option at the receiver spot. Experienced, and knows what he's doing, knows how to play the game. He wasn't a #1 in San Francisco, which Richard Sherman showed us, but at the same time, he's a quality #2 guy with Amari Cooper there with him. I like what I'm seeing offensively. Defensively, they got to defend the pass better. There's no question about it, because they're ranked dead last. They got to do a better job. But I'm a fan of Jack Del Rio and the job that he has done. I'm a fan of their coaching staff. That mystique of Raider Nation, to me, is coming back. They got to do something better with Khalil, because, again, you got to get Khalil Mack some help. But then I look at the schedule, Max. Let's look at this. They're 3-1 now, 3 consecutive road wins, all right, to open the season. Hasn't been done in a long time by them. But then you got Kansas City, Jacksonville, Tampa. Of course, you got Denver at home. You got Houston at home on a Monday night. You got a struggling Carolina Panther team, Buffalo. I mean, don't get me wrong, their schedule is quality, but it's not a death knell.
Right.
They can win some of these games. And with the way the Jets and Buffalo have looked in the AFC East, with the way the AFC, you got competition in the AFC North. I only think the winner of the South will come out. I think they got a shot to compete with one of the teams in the North for that second wild card spot. I think this is the year the Raiders make the playoffs.
They do have a shot to make the playoffs. In that sense, they're contenders. But when I hear, are they contenders, I think, are they Super Bowl contenders? And I think everyone is a year early on that. Everyone sees it coming, so everyone wanted to be the first one to say, oh, watch the Raiders.
Right.
The Raiders are not Super Bowl contenders this year because they don't play defense. Now, Khalil Mack, let's start. First of all, everyone knows Carr's excellent. Mari Cooper's excellent. No question about it. But this NFL, it's almost like baseball during the PED era. Not that they're totally out of the game, but when it was running rampant. There was so much offense, these pitchers had to figure out a way to get these monsters out, right? Then you take the PEDs out, the pitchers have gotten better, and now, until very recently, offense was way down. Yeah. The response to the rules changes in the NFL and the aerial attacks have been sophisticated defenses that, in fact, nowadays when you look, who do I really like to win the Super Bowl? I know you don't like Minnesota, but I think they're one of the leading candidates now. Certainly the Broncos, as they did last year. Carolina had a great defense. Seattle has a great defense. The teams you really like are the really good defensive ones. As a response to these high-flying offenses, the Raiders have the offense down, but the defense, I talked about expected points allowed. That compares you to league average.
Sure.
They're 6th worst defensively by expected points allowed. And you brought up Khalil Mack, who I think Aaron Donald's probably the best defender right now in the NFL, at least, up front. Khalil Mack
He's dual
right. Yeah, he is.
Linebacker, defensive end.
I like it much better.
Pro Bowl in 2 positions.
I like it much better when he's basically a linebacker than when he's now. It looks to me like he's basically.
I like him moving around. I like him moving around.
Okay, let's look.
Right.
This year,
He's only
one
got a
sack so far. Last year, 15, which means just about a sack a game.
Okay, but they're keying more on him now.
Well, also, but he's got his hand in the dirt at defensive end. It's different. He's not his skills are not as on display. He's not being deployed as well, I think, from this position. 17 disrupted dropbacks last year, 1 so far this year. So the good news for the Raiders is, as they figure out how exactly they want to deploy Khalil Mack, the defense can get better. But I don't think better enough. Like last year, they were middle-of-the-pack defense.
Right.
This year, they're on the bottom.
Right.
I think they're still a draft away and from bringing in enough defensive players.
That's fair, because I'm about the players. I'm not talking Super Bowl, not with New England, Denver, and Pittsburgh in the AFC. I'm not saying that. But let's also point this out. Don't just bring up Khalil Mack. In 4 games, the Oakland Raiders have 5 sacks. That's nothing. I mean, that's nothing, all right? Their leading sacker is Bruce Irvin. He's got 2. But you acquired him in the offseason. What I'm saying to you is this. Let's look at what they're doing offensively, and let's look at how they're going to try to compensate. Derek Carr's only been sacked twice this year. Twice in 4 games. That's it. Okay, he's got 9 touchdowns, just 1 interception. You're protecting him. The running backs running the football effectively with Latavius Murray. Okay, he's averaging 4.3 yards a carry. DeAndre Washington is averaging 6.4 yards a carry. You've got Jalen Richards averaging 8.5 yards a carry. You've got blockers. They're protecting the quarterback. Plus, they're opening holes to run the football effectively. That means you can move the chains, because you got to worry about Derek Carr, who's got a strong enough arm to throw outside the numbers. You got to worry about this offense, and I think that compensates for some of it, which is why I got them being a playoff team.
My takeaway from the Raiders is deploy Khalil Mack correctly. That dude is different. Okay. That is a special talent.
No question. The West Coast, the return of football in Los Angeles has been a good one so far. The Rams have certainly been one of the biggest surprises in this young season, as they're currently sitting atop the NFC West, tied with the Seahawks at 3-1 after being shut out in Week 1 to the 49ers. Jeff Fisher's crew bounced back, beating the Seahawks, Bucks, and Cardinals. We welcome the coach, Herm Edwards. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Herm, in
talking
the house.
about Stephen A's favorite team, the Rams.
Yes.
And I know how he feels about.
Yes, it's been no secret.
I'm not even gonna say who's coaching that team.
Right, no secret. How you've been tough on Jeff Fisher. But with that being said, are you ready now to buy in on the Rams since their latest win streak?
No. Why would I be? What the hell have they done? They've won 3 games in 4 weeks. Last time I checked, there's still 12 games to go. We're talking about a coach in Jeff Fisher that's in his 22nd season, and 15 times he's been out of the playoffs. This man's record is an atrocity. As far as I'm concerned, he's lucky to be the coach. This defense is elite. We all know what these boys bring to the table. They've got Ogletree. He's leading the team in tackles. You've got guys, like a Quinn. He's got a couple of sacks on the year. They've only got 7 sacks on the year, but Quinn's got a sack. He's got 2 sacks. Hayes got a sack. Aaron Donald's only got a sack and a half or whatever. But the defense is definitely big time. There's no doubt about that. We look at them offensively, okay, with Case Keenum as your quarterback. What do you expect? You're ranked 30th in the league offensively. Dead last in yards accumulated, 30th against for the pass, 30th for the run. So clearly your defense is carrying this team. You just drafted a guy #1 overall, while Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott, even though Trevor Siemian was drafted the year before, they're playing. You see a guy in Jared Goff who wasn't even on the active roster for Week 1, and we haven't seen him throw a pass yet. It's still early. We get all of that. But what I'm trying to say to you is that when you have a number of years, spanning decades of ineptitude, 4 games does not erase
I also
that.
don't believe in the Rams. I think that, look, I'll tell you why, Coach.
Wow.
First of all, they have 2 good wins. The good wins are against Arizona and Seattle. You know who they beat last year? Arizona and Seattle. I mean, divisional games, rivalries, that, lesser teams can beat better teams. This happens. Yep. The Rams play Seattle tough, and they beat Arizona last year, too. Here's the thing about the Rams. Going into this season, I looked and thought, they have a good defense, good front 7. If you played them in daily fantasy last year, they'd rack up a lot of points for you, right? They have an offensive line. Their strategy is get rid of the ball quickly, but still the offensive line not so bad, and a great running back in Todd Gurley, potentially the best in the game in the not-so-distant future. They have a pretty good receiving core. They just were missing a lead wideout, in my opinion, Coach, and a veteran quarterback. Why they decided to trade up to draft a rookie quarterback who didn't look like a Cam Newton or an Andrew Luck in college and not just use that to draft a wideout who we've seen, Amari Cooper, Sammy Watkins, Odell Beckham Jr., assume that lead wideout role right out of college, and then bring in a veteran quarterback like what Minnesota did with Bradford or RG3, although he got hurt. Kaepernick, different guys were available. I don't know. I thought that would have been a better strategy. But, Coach, I agree with Stephen A. here. Based on Jeff Fisher's recent history and just these 2 wins, the quality wins, I don't believe in the Rams.
Wow.
Without a quarterback.
Wow. That's really disappointing for me. Because all of a sudden, all 3 of us kind of agree.
You were gonna
I like the tease. I like look at Coach elevating his TV action.
You gotta sell the play action.
Well, look,
you gotta sell it.
That's selling the play action.
You guys made some good points. Because the Rams in the last 2 years in this division, they're 6-3. Jeff does a great job in the division. Last year, in the last 2 years, they've been 4-7 outside the division. They beat the Browns, they beat the Lions, and they beat Tampa Bay twice. There lies the problem. Their offense is what I call slow-moving at best. They have a problem with big plays. Got a unique running back, but the offensive line is not very good, to speak nicely. Their defense is in the middle of the road. They got a good front. They got a great corner in Tremaine Johnson, very, very good player. But they're in a division right now where you see some teams struggling, Arizona being one. Seattle's going to continue to get better. I would hope Arizona will get out of this lull. But Arizona's got some issues, too, when you look at them. And I said it in the preseason. I didn't like the way they looked. It was just something that was bothering me. They got 12 games left. They'll probably get this thing going because they're talented enough in that. But the Rams are a team right now that when the season continues to play out, I think it'll catch up with them. Because they can't score points. They cannot score points. When they're forced to score points, they're going to get in trouble.
Well, let me ask you this
Quarterback.
question. Let me ask you this question, Coach. When do we get to hold Jeff Fisher accountable for everything that you just diagrammed for us as it pertains to their woes as a franchise?
Well, you can hold him accountable. I mean, all coaches are held accountable. He has a unique talent in this sense that when they moved, the owner and the people in charge felt like he would be the best guy through the transition of the move.
I think he's got pictures on somebody.
I don't
understand it.
You're like, what is that guy doing?
Look. I forgot.
3-1.
Listen, I'm not going to mention the guy. I'm not going to mention the guy's name. But when I was in L.A., because my man Max invited me to that HBO party, I'm still indebted to that. That was a special party, boy. Here's the deal. I mean, Max invited me out there, and we was having a ball. You know, the point that I'm trying to make while I was there, there was an event for the Rams.
Yes.
And I met an employee, a couple of employees there for the Los Angeles Rams. Incredibly nice guy. One guy there needs to be the damn executive because I've never seen a man sell a franchise any better in my life.
That's what they
knows
do.
who he
It's
is.
Los Angeles.
It was special. It was, this dude is the greatest salesman I've ever seen in my life. It's unbelievable how he sold the Rams. But I say all of that to say I'll tell y'all the same thing I told him. You know, the Jeff Fisher might have, I mean, we got to check Kroenke's past or something. Something wrong. He might say, Jeff Fisher might have pictures on him or something. 15 years, you missed the playoffs in 21 seasons, and not only do you stay with the team to make the move from St. Louis to Los Angeles, but you get a contract extension too? I mean, I got to figure out what Jeff Fisher got something on that man. He's got something on that man. I'm just saying this was before the first place.
In a competitive division.
This was before the first place. This was before the first place. He's got something on him, Coach.
Well, he's
got something on him.
That's all I know. Good for you, Coach Fish.
What do you like to say? Only in America.
Hollywood, you got connections. Find out what Jeff Fisher got on that man. Ain't no reason for that man to still have that head coaching job.
I had you guys going, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. I was watching the running back. I thought you handed it off.
Can't wait for your perspective, though, on this next subject.
Oh, boy.